So let's just allow our attention to come to the breathing. Sitting nice and tall, allowing plenty of space in the body for the breath to come in and to go out. Then we'll interlace the fingers, push the palms forwards, and then allow those arms to float up. And then we'll take a little turn to the right and just take a little twist there. So letting the left hand rest wherever it comes to, perhaps on the knee, and the right hand coming down to the floor behind you. Keep sitting tall. And then when you're ready, come back, interlace the fingers again, lift the hands and turn to the left, finding the twist on this side. Turning back to the center, we'll just take a little forward lean and wiggle, and then we'll make our way up to standing for Surya Namaskar A. So standing near the front of the mat. Let's inhale, raise the hands, stretch them up high, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come halfway up and really let that spine unfurl, and then you could step or jump your feet back to chaturanga dandasana with the elbows in. Inhale to upward facing dog and exhale to downward facing dog for 5 breaths. And we've got those fingers spread out wide, the whole hands pressing into the floor. And see if you can really notice that the roots of the fingers are pressing into the floor as well as the fingertips. So bring your attention to the hands for the moment and really feel them doing some work and pushing down into the floor. We can draw the belly button up towards the spine, and we could switch on the Ujjayi breath if you want to. So just making that whispering noise so that we can stay focused on the breath. Then we can inhale, bring the feet to the hands and lengthen that spine again. Exhale, come back to a forward fold. And inhale, stretch up high. Exhale, coming to standing. Brilliant. So let's do 4 more. Inhale, raise the hands. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen through that spine. And exhale to chaturanga dandasana with the elbows in. Slowly lower, don't collapse. Inhale, low shoulders for that upward facing dog, and exhale to downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. So with those hands planted, we can push the floor away and work all the way up into the shoulders, lengthening through the spine. Depending on the hamstrings, you might have a little bend at the knees, or those legs might feel very straight and you might be able to draw those heels all the way down to the ground. Come back to that slow, steady rhythm. We want to check that we're not hurrying the breathing, that it's staying nice and constant all the way through our practice. Inhale then, feet to hands, long back, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stretch up, and exhale to standing. Good, so inhale, raise the hands, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. For this one, you have the option of raising the right leg. Just float it up a little bit, hold it out straight if you can, and spread the toes. And you might feel a bit more weight comes down into the arms and the shoulders as you do that. After the 5th breath, we'll inhale and bring the feet to the hands and lengthen that spine, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, stretch up high, and exhale to standing. 4th one then. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg. Slow, steady breathing, straightening and lengthening every part of the body. the arms, the spine, the legs. Inhale, feet to hands, halfway up, long back. And exhale, fold, hamstring stretch. Inhale, come up. And exhale to standing. Last one by yourself. Move along to Surya Namaskar B. We'll inhale and come to chair pose. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen that spine. And then exhale, step or jump back to come to chaturanga dandasana, holding the weight off the ground if you can. And then we slide forwards onto the tops of the feet for upward facing dog and over the toes for down dog. Then inhale, right foot forward, left foot flat, warrior A. And exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, right foot flat, warrior, and exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here, so make sure you count those breaths. And then when you've taken those 5 breaths, you can use the 6th inhale to bring the feet to the hands and lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold, then bend your knees. Inhale, come up to chair pose, and exhale, straighten. Good. Second one. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. And then as you inhale, lengthen out that spine. And as you exhale, step the feet back and keeping the elbows close to the body, lower to chaturanga dandasana. And inhale, scoop forward for upward facing dog. Exhaling to down dog. Then with the inhale, we step into warrior A with the right foot forward. And exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing. Then inhale, warrior A, left foot comes forward this time. Make sure that right foot is planted into the floor. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Again, count your breaths. Really focus on what that breath feels like and sounds like, and keep the duration regular. Then inhale, feet to hands, lengthen the spine, and exhale, fold. Bend the knee, inhale to chair pose, and exhale, straighten it. Good, third one, inhale, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right foot warrior. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left foot, warrior. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. See if you can roll over the toes to get to your downward facing dog. And then we can raise the right leg. We're letting the right hip come up and the left hip tuck underneath as we bend that knee, letting the foot kind of fall over behind us. And we're looking out into the right arm. Try and lengthen through the body. Slow, steady breathing. And then with the inhale, bring the feet to the hands, lengthen, and exhale, fold, bend the knees. Inhale, come up to chair pose, stretching those hands up, and exhale to straighten. Good, next one. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right foot, warrior. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left foot, warrior. And exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Really draw that chest forward through the upper arms, and exhale, downward facing dog. And then we can raise the left leg. Drop the foot over. Let that left hip turn up and out. The right hip to tuck under. Lengthen through the spine. Weight equal in the hands if you can. Fingers spread. And then inhaling to bring the feet to the hands and lengthen that spine. And exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, lift up the hands. And exhale, straighten. Good, then the last one, have a go at just doing this by yourself. Fitting the movement into the rhythm of your breath rather than mine. Don't forget to count those 5 breaths when you get to downward facing dog. And when you get back to the standing forward bend, we're just going to meet there and come up into a chair pose and stay. So as you step forward, just walk those feet together. Ready for our chair pose. Bend the knees, lift up the hands, and we're going to stay here. So press the knees together, sit nice and low. Lift up the arms so the biceps are in line with the ears. And we can have those palms turned in towards one another and the fingers spread out wide. And then coming up to standing, we can make our way into a standing forward bend. So we'll take 2 of these. The first one just coming down and letting the hands rest wherever they get to. So that might be holding on to the big toes or the ankles, further up the legs, or perhaps holding onto the elbows and dangling down. And we'll take 5 nice breaths there. And for the second one, we're going to just come up and lengthen the spine and then thread the hands underneath the feet. So to do that, you might want to bend the knees and get a little bit lower in the first place so that you can kind of hunker down. And then see if you can tuck those hands all the way under, so not just the fingers, but the palms of the hands as well. That might take a little bit of practice, but that's what we're aiming for. Let the head feel nice and heavy and fall down, lengthening the back of the neck. And as you gain flexibility, you might be able to straighten the legs here, finding that nice hamstring stretch. So after this, we're going to have a go at Bird of Paradise, which is our kind of more advanced pose. So if you don't want to do that, please just stay in any of these two standing forward bends. Otherwise, we can send the left arm underneath the left leg, bring the right hand around and see if you can catch hands behind you and then come up to standing. It's really tricky. You can straighten that leg as well once you're up. And then have a little go on the other side. So threading the right arm underneath the right leg, left hand comes around, carefully making your way up to standing on the left leg, standing tall, and then if you feel ready, you could extend that leg. And then when you're done, making your way back down, shaking the shoulders a little bit, having a little bit of a wiggle there. So coming up, we're going to step out wide for some wide leg standing forward bends, stretching up and keeping the body nice and long as you fold down. So just have those hands wherever they need to be. That might be out in front of you, so it's more like a kind of wide-legged downward facing dog. But with time, you'll be able to walk those hands back in line with the feet without rounding the back. Keep the weight nicely distributed along the length of the foot, so not just in the heels, and pull the tummy in and enjoy this lovely stretch through the hamstrings. Head nice and heavy. With the next inhale, come up, take a nice stretch up high, and second one of these wide leg standing forward bends is with the hands on the hips. So inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the front body, and with those hands on the hips, you should feel the pelvis turning over to bring you into your forward bend. Hands might get squished between the hip bones and the thighs. Keep the spine nice and long and straight. Notice the weight in the feet, and try not to let the shoulders drop up into the ears. We're keeping them back so the neck feels nice and long, and there's a lot of space through the spine and through the body. With the next inhale, bring yourself up, stretch up high, and exhale, hands behind you, interlace the fingers, clasp the hands. See if you can press the heels of the hands together. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, come over. And those arms lift away from the back a little bit. Again, checking the weight in the feet. Head feels nice and heavy. Just letting the body rest into this pose. With the next inhale, draw yourself up, stretch the hands up high, and bring them down onto the fronts of the thighs. So we're going to have a go at the twist for the next one, so you might want a narrower stance. So we're going to inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, let the hands slide down. Then we're going to cross those arms, have the left arm in front, and then rotate clockwise until you can look out into that left arm. I'm just changing the position of my right hand here. It just feels nicer to go around the back of the foot and hold on to that outside of that ankle to help me into the twist there. Slow, steady breathing. And then we'll untwist and bring the right arm in front, and then we can turn the other way anti-clockwise, so we're looking out underneath that right arm. Might change the position of the left hand around the outside of the ankle there, and slow steady breathing. Good, so let's untwist, and we'll just bring the hands down onto the legs, the ankles or the big toes, and stretch out in the final one of these wide leg standing forward bends. Nice long straight spine, tummy pulls in, slow steady breathing. And then just for fun, we'll have a go at walking the feet out as wide as we can. You might come down onto the forearms to do that. So just gently sliding the feet out towards the ends of the mat until you feel that nice stretch, the inside of the thighs, sensation in the hips. As coming from this, you're going to want to heel toe the feet in until you can carefully come back up to standing. Stretch the hands up high, and we'll exhale, hop to the front of the mat, and let's take a vinyasa here. Why not? Inhale, raise the hands up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine, and exhale to chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Then step or jump the feet up to the hands, lengthening through the spine, and exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch all the way up, and exhale to standing. We're going to step out wide again, this time for our goddess squat. So turn the toes out. We will interlace the fingers and press the palms out for this one. So bending the knees, squatting down, and then inhale, coming back up to where you started. So you're going as low as you can, and then you're coming up a little bit with the breath. 5 of these. Good stuff. Stretching up and then exhale, stepping back to the front of the mat. Let's inhale, raise the hands, and exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, halfway up, flat back, and exhale to a downward facing dog and then to a plank pose. Let's do a few chaturanga push-ups here. So we're aiming for 5. Exhale, lower, and inhale, push the floor away to straighten the arms. We're trying to keep the body as one straight line. This will be hard when you first begin, but it's really worth doing this strength building. All right, let's take a little rest in child's pose. So let that body fold forwards over the folded legs, sitting back towards the heels, arms extended out in front of you, and forehead on the floor or towards the floor. Check that breathing is still in its nice slow rhythm. And then we'll make our way up to a downward facing dog. And step the right foot forward to the hands, sliding the left toes back, and we'll just turn into a twist. So reaching the right hand high. Remember that back leg is staying nice and strong and straight, so don't have a droopy knee of the back leg. So everything should be nice and long and straight here. You can look up to the top hand if you want to. Then bringing the hands down, we can step ourselves back to a downward facing dog and just take that pose on the other side. So step the left foot forwards, right toes slide back, and we reach the left hand high, rotating the ribcage in towards that bent knee. And then we'll step back to downward facing dog, and it's time for our plank challenge. So 7 breaths we're on. This is the last week of 7 breaths, by the way. It's June next week, so we'll be going on to our 8 breath plank. So side plank, 7 breaths, middle plank, 7 breaths, and side plank on the other side, 7 breaths. Don't hurry your breathing, don't be cheating. Aiming for a good 2-3 seconds per inhale and per exhale. Well done. So when you're done, you can take another rest in child's pose. And if the breath has become a little bit raggedy, just draw it back to its nice, regular, slow rhythm. You shouldn't have. You should have stayed quite disciplined with those slow, steady breaths. Okay, good. So let's make our way up into a squat. So we want the heels down on the floor, and we're trying to sit up as straight as we can with the hands together in a namaste and a prayer pose. And over time, we can have the feet coming closer together and pointing forwards. But if you're beginning, you'll want to have those feet wider and the toes pointing out. From here, we can point the hands forward and make our way into cobbler's pose. So soles of the feet together. Now you can stay here if this feels nice for you, but if you have a half lotus, then you are welcome to bring one foot in close to the body and the other foot up on top of the thigh with the heel coming close to the hip bone. So both of these are external rotations of the hips. So if you are in cobbler's pose, do just stay there, because if you've taken the asymmetric, the half lotus, you just need to do that on the other side. So making your way and sitting nice and tall, lengthening through the spine. And then we'll let that right leg come out straight and come into either a seated tree or a half lotus. So again, similar kind of thing, just an external rotation at the hip. The only difference is whether the foot is down on the floor or whether it's a tiny little bit higher, resting on top of the thigh. And we can add a forward bend here. Now, if you've got the half lotus, you want to try and swallow that foot into the flesh between the rib cage and the hip. So into the tummy, should feel quite nice. Long spine, slow, steady breathing. So from here, we can move into marichyasana B. So if you are in seated tree, just leave the foot on the floor and draw that straight leg back to be bent. And see if you can hug the knee into the side of the body, or wrap the arm around and bind the hands behind you. Now, if you had the half lotus, that foot will have come up and will still be resting on top of the right thigh. That nice curled up pose here. You're in a little ball. It feels really nice. But you don't want to round the back. So they're still trying to lengthen through the spine, even though you're in quite a small shape. So let's try this on the other side. Left leg comes out straight and we draw that right foot either to the inside of the thigh, or we hop it up onto the top of the thigh. Heel coming close to the hip bone, trying to swallow that foot in. I don't do it so well on this side. I don't have quite such movement in my right hip, so this posture is not quite as good as on the other side. Folding forward, then with that nice straight spine as best you can. Slow, steady breathing. Pull the tummy in. And again, keeping that right foot where it is, either on the floor or in the half lotus, we draw that left leg in so that it's bent at the knee. We pull the knee close to the body and see about wrapping the left arm around and then catching the fingers with the right. Lengthening the spine to fold forwards and curling up. All right, good stuff. So let's just make our way out of that. Slide the legs out straight and give them a little bit of a wiggle. And we're just going to have a go at marichyasana C, which is our twist. So keeping the left leg out straight, we're drawing that right knee in and then just turning away into the twist. Now you could use that left arm like a little lever to help twizzle you around, or you could go for the bind, which is a little bit fiddly, but you need to roll that shoulder over in its socket and reach the left hand around behind you,
catch hold of the fingers with the right hand and try and sit up as straight as you can, turning into the twist. Slow, steady breathing. The rib cage can feel a bit squished here, so the breath often feels a little bit restricted, but just see if you can accept that and breathe anyway. And then we'll have a go at that pose on the other side. So the right leg is the straight one, the left one draws in, and we can either hug or lever or bind with that right arm. Slow, steady breathing. And then we'll make our way out again, have another little wiggle, and then we're going to come up into a squat. So on the toes this time, with the heels and the knees together, we're going to have a go at twisting and then binding in this squat, which is kind of harder than it looks. So what I'm doing here is reaching my left hand around and just catching the left knee. So in the same way as we did in those marichyasana poses, and reaching the right hand around behind the back. So it's the sort of armpit that's hugging around that knee, and I'm turning to look out to the side whilst balancing on my toes. So have a little go on the other side. So twisting to your left side, it's the right arm that binds around the right knee, and the left hand comes around to take hold of those fingers. Now, if you're very flexible, you might actually be able to bind around both legs, but that's not available to me right now. I'm still working on this one. I'm just binding around the outer knee in this twist. So from here, we're going to come to an arm balance, and it is your choice here. You could choose from the regular crow pose or side crow as a possibility, or side crow with the legs extended, which we've been working on. So again, it's just shifting the weight forwards, and then the top leg extends out in line with the body. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, you could bring both legs out to the side. That's quite hard work. We could also try baby crow. That's another option. So with the forearms on the floor, knees tucking up against the backs of the triceps and leaning forward. It looks like my face is touching the floor here, but it isn't. It's only like a centimetre away, but it is a balance. Your face is clear of the floor. And then the one that I'm still working on is the one-legged crow, bringing the knee onto the back of the bent elbow. So well, just slightly above the elbow, and trying to get the flat part of the bent knee into the right place, and then seeing if you can balance and send that leg up. So I'm still practicing on that one, and I definitely can't still do it on the other side. Okay, so we can take a little child's pose from here. When you're ready, just bring the knees down and fold them underneath you. And we'll do a few little back bends from here. So we're going to make our way out to be lying on the tummy for Sphinx pose. And we're just going to find our back bend by propping ourselves up onto the elbows. Now, if those elbows are directly under the shoulders, you've kind of got the maximum height, if you think about it. And if you want to make that back bend a little gentler, you could walk those elbows a bit further forwards, which will bring you down ever so slightly. So you can tailor this for the back bend that you want to feel. Slow, steady breathing. Have the shoulders a long way away from the ears. And then we'll come down and bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and then lift up the forehead, the chest and the hands. And if you want to make this harder work, you can extend the arms out in front of you. So my legs are still down on the floor. I'm just using the muscles of my back to curl the spine away from the floor, and that's quite hard work. So whilst lifting my head and my upper body, so those muscles have to work hard. So come down and take a little rest, and we'll do the equivalent with the legs. So floating them up, try and keep them straight. So we're not bending the knees to get the feet higher. But just notice what you feel, perhaps the hamstrings and the quads working, and perhaps the lower back. Good stuff. Okay, so come back into Sphinx pose, and then taking the weight on the left arm, we're going to bend the right leg in and just squeeze it in with that right arm. So we're looking for a stretch in the quad, and we've got a little bit of a back bend going on as well because we're propped up in our Sphinx pose. Slow, steady breathing. And then when you're ready, other side. So you're propping yourself up on your right arm, and the left hand reaches back to squeeze the foot in towards the bottom, stretching through the quad. Slow, steady breathing. Good. So lowering the legs, let's push ourselves up to plank and then to a downward facing dog. And we'll just have a little play with some jumps here. So gluing those hands into the mat, we want to bend the knees and just hop the hips up into the air. So we're not jumping forward, we're just seeing how high we can send those hips and let the legs come out straight as you jump up. So in your own time, just try a few of these little jumps. We're also trying to land quite gently, so let the knees bend and absorb the impact there. So in the end, we want to try and find the balance place where those hips are above the hands, and we might be just kind of hanging out and ready to float up into a handstand. Feels like a very long way away for me, but with practice we do feel this kind of lightness, a nanosecond where the weight is over the hands. Okay, good stuff. So we're just going to make our way down to the mat. We'll take boat pose, our abdominals. So balancing on the sitting bones, we're sitting up nice and straight through the back, lifting the legs. They could be straight or bent. So we'll have 5 breaths in this regular version, and then we'll just try a couple of twist variations. So take a little rest, and then come up again to the boat pose, but we're going to turn around to the left side. So we're going to twist to the left, and we're going to reach that left hand back behind us and look out in that direction whilst the right hand reaches up towards the feet. So just holding the balance here, noticing any differences in sensation from the previous one. And we'll come and take another little rest. And then when you're ready, beginning to make your way up and into this pose, twisting to the right with the right arm reaching back behind us and the left hand towards the feet. Keep sitting up tall and straight, so push the chest forwards. Don't allow the back to collapse and round. Brilliant. Then we'll take another little rest, forehead to the knees, and then we'll come down slowly to a lying down position with the knees bent up, ready for a bridge pose with the option to step up into shoulder stand. So just letting that spine unfurl down onto the mat. Press the feet into the floor and lift the hips, and you might be able to bring the hands underneath the back of the rib cage. Now if you are choosing that option, you could have a go at stepping up into shoulder stand this way. What you'll need to do is lift up one leg really high and bring it a little bit over the vertical line so that the weight just begins to shift, and then you might be able to lift up the other leg. Adjust the position of the hands, tuck the shoulders underneath you, bring the elbows close to one another, and we're looking for that vertical line again with the chin pressed very much into the chest. So you can almost use the hands to lift the rib cage up to help you find this vertical position. So many of you will know there's a lot of options, a lot of places we can go from shoulder stand. You might choose to begin to drop the legs over behind you for plough pose. If you do that, you could clasp the hands together along the mat. You might choose deaf man's pose, which is bending the knees and snuggling them around the ears with the shins on the ground. Again, you could have the hands clasped out behind you. So I'm just coming into plough pose here, and I'm clasping those hands, and that kind of really helps to get up onto the tops of the shoulders. I'm still looking for a vertical line through the body, so I'm not letting my hips kind of fall back. And now I'm going to have a go at moving into deaf man's pose. So those knees are coming down to the floor either side of my ears, and my spine is staying vertical. Now, if you don't have a vertical spine, this pose is not really possible. It's not really possible to get the knees down to the floor. And I imagine there's going to be some variation according to the length of your back and your thigh bones and things like that. So we can gently begin to roll our way out from this pose. And if you do it slowly enough, you might even get some nice clicks through the spine, which can feel really lovely. So we'll roll down to the mat and make our way into a passive twist. So we'll drop the knees over to the right hand side, and you might want to extend that top leg. So taking hold of the left leg with the right hand and reaching out with the left hand and looking out to the left. If you don't want to do that, just letting the legs be bent and turning as much or as little as you want to into the twist. So when you're ready, just gently bring this twist around to the other side, so dropping those knees over to the left. If you want to, taking hold of the right leg in that left hand, reaching the right arm to the right side and looking out to that right hand. And just enjoying dropping into the mat in this pose. No muscular work. And then we'll come out, give those knees a little hug. And we'll just make our way into fish pose, our final posture before Shavasana. So just lifting the hips and placing the bottom down onto the backs of the hands, so the palms are touching the floor. And then we're pressing the elbows into the floor and lifting the chest. So the upper back curls away from the mat and the top of the head is on the floor. So nice open chested posture, stretching through the throat. And then when you're ready, making your way into Shavasana. So just lying down in whichever way is comfy for you. Traditionally, this is lying flat on the back, arms and legs away from the midline, as I am in this shot. But equally, you might choose to place the feet flat on the floor and have the knees bent up. Or you could have the soles of the feet together, knees falling out to the side. You could even lie on your side or on your tummy. It doesn't matter. We just want to be in a position that is very comfortable and allows us to explore the more subtle sensations of the body. So in our energetic practice so far, we haven't been short on sensation. We've been working hard. We've been trying to keep hold of the breath. Muscles have been working, joints have been working. But when we come to Shavasana, there's a lot less of that. The breath is still moving in and out of the body, so we can notice that. But there'll be other sensations, more subtle in the body. Perhaps tingling, sensations of temperature, sensations of contact with the floor or with the clothing. You might choose to shift your awareness to information coming in through the other senses. Sounds, perhaps, that you hadn't noticed during your practice. If your eyes are closed, you might still see colours, shapes or patterns behind the eyelids. And there might be other sensations. Your awareness of your body in space. Any sensations associated with emotions or feelings. Try to just receive all of this information without analysing it or coming to any conclusions. Just experiencing what's going on for you in this present moment. And if thinking happens, just try to step away from that. And then when you're ready, just begin to bring some movement into the body, along the limbs, into the axis of the body, the spine, hips, shoulders, head and neck. And in your own time, in your own way, come up to a seated position. Then with the inhale, we'll raise the hands up, and an exhale, bring them down into the centre of the chest. And we'll just finish with a gratitude. So tapping together each pair of fingers, and with each tap you just need to name something to yourself that you're grateful for today. So coming up with 5 things. And then when you've named all 5, bowing forwards to close your practice.